Hi everyone, it is Danielle Marie from the One Realty joining you here today on the 29th of October. It is that time again, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to talk about the weekly stats and what has happened in the last week of last week of October here in Austin, Texas, and let's compare it to the previous week. So first and foremost, let's get the elephant out of the room. When we're looking at these stats, we're also looking at these stats from the perspective of interest rates this past week have been on the rise. Now, on Monday, it actually hit over 7%. How that's going to affect the buyers? Well, we're gonna spend a little bit of time talking about how interest rates affected it, as well as this was the weekend that I was waiting for. This is the first past week that we went through where we didn't have ACL, which is Austin City Limits here in Austin. We didn't have, and that was the first 2 weeks in October. We didn't have the F1, the races. We didn't have a big UT football game. We actually had buyers and sellers that were here in Austin. And let's take a look to see how we did. So if you've been following along with me, and if you're joining me now too, and you're not following me, go ahead and follow me, because this is something I do weekly. So weekly, I try to do it on Tuesday. We're going to talk about what happened the previous week. We're going to talk about how many houses went pending and what the changes in the prices were. As well, feel free to give me a follow or give me a comment too if you have any questions on the data I'm sharing right now, especially if you're joining me live. You have the bonus of it being interactive. So first and foremost, let's talk about our active listings. Once again, we're heading into those winter months where we typically see sales and listings drop off. Now, last year we hit our peak in number of listings in November. This year, thankfully, it was in July. However, our number of listings are still significantly higher than last year. Our total number of active listings, now we're down 76 from last week. So we've been seeing a trend where our number of active listings has continued to go down. We are at 2,853. So that's a decrease of 76 from last week. We are starting at that decline. If you look at last year, we were at our peak, we were around like 2,800. So we're getting close to our peak number of last year, but nowhere near our peak this year when we were around 3,600. So we're starting to see those listing numbers drop off. With that being said, our average list price here in Austin, I know this is always a shocker. Our average price here in Austin is at, and this is single family homes. So not condos, not townhouses, not mobile homes, not manufactured homes, nothing like that. This is single family homes. So single family homes, we are sitting at an average of 1.163 million. Is our average. Now, keep in mind, we have some houses that are listed over 14 million here in Austin, Texas, and that's what's public. If you're looking for higher priced in homes that maybe aren't on the public search, that you're not seeing on public searches, feel free to reach out, send me a DM. We can kind of talk about that offline, because there is a luxury market that you are not going to see on your Zillow, on your Redfin, on your Realtor.com. With that being said, our median list price, so our average price, we actually decreased it. It was only a decrease by $8,000. Nothing major. As far as our median home price, well, we've stayed at $699,000 here in Austin, Texas. So no change from week over week. Our median price kind of stayed the same at $699,000. As far as days on market, our days on market, we actually went up by 2 days for our average. Our average went up to 94 days on market. So we're talking over 3 months is what our average house is going for. As far as our median days on market, we went down by 1. So we're at 69 days on market. 69 days is our median number. Now, with that being said, we talk a lot and we compare week to week. And for our average listings, that's going to tell you all of that inventory that we have. Now, depending on what price point you are, if you're at 1.4 million or above, we're actually sitting at over 12 months of inventory here in Austin. So you are without a doubt in a buyer's market, and there are deals to be had. As you go lower, it kind of ebbs and flows depending on what price you're looking at. And we can kind of figure out, are you in a buyer's market? Are you in a seller's market? Where do you fall in line? What does the inventory look like? So with that, I also want to talk about what has gone live in the past week, because that kind of gives you while we're looking at the whole aggregate data, some of these houses have been on the market for almost a year. And so it kind of skews numbers. So we want to know what is being pushed to you before price reductions, what is being pushed to you. And so in this past week, the past 7 days, we had 141 new homes come active to the market. So there was 141 new homes that came active to the market. That's a decrease from last week of 34 homes. So we had more homes go active last week. We're seeing the decrease, which is completely normal. So not only are we reducing our total active because probably homes are going pending, they're being withdrawn, also the number of homes that are coming to the market are going down. So we went down to 141 new homes this week. As far as the average price point, now this is good for some buyers out there. Our average price point currently listed is that 1.163 million. Our new average of the houses that just came to the market is 990,000. So kind of a different way to think about it also is the sellers that are coming to market are also probably being maybe more realistic as far as what their timeline is and how quickly they want to sell. That's what they're also looking for. Our median price, so our median of the whole aggregate, we're at $699. Our median of the new numbers that came, the new houses that came to market, is at $595. Now, if you're a buyer out there with interest rates going up, if you have the ability to buy, we're already seeing homes being priced lower, but that also means maybe these new homes coming to market, maybe the sellers really need to sell, and that's why they're listing the price the way they are, as well as they're trying to get it sold before Thanksgiving. Because if we know anything about our market, so up until Thanksgiving, we'll still see buyers. You will have buyers coming to see listings. I'm not even kidding. The day before Thanksgiving, done it, completely done it. I've written offers on Thanksgiving. With that being said, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, it typically slows down. One of the busiest days, though, for people to look at listings, to look at new listings online. This kind of shocked me at first when I first learned about it, but it's actually on the 26th of December. And that's because, and I know it's the different religions and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, on the 26th of December, all of a sudden people are just sitting in their homes. Big meals have gone, family has been in town. The people that are ready to shop for homes, maybe they're no longer cooking and they can just relax and they can look. So we'll see a lull. We should see a lull from November, end of November, all the way through about the 26th of December. You're going to see that lull period. So if you're a buyer, that also might be an opportune time for you. Okay, so we've talked about what's active. And if you're joining me now, feel free to send me a comment. If you have any questions, follow this, share this with anyone that you might like. If you're enjoying this data, even saving it helps me get seen in the algorithm and allows me to continue to bring this information to y'all. So let's go on to the number of houses pending. If you've been following me for a while and you look at my previous things, you're going to see every week I like to look at what happened over the past week. What was the number of pending? Because when interest rates fell, we saw kind of a jump start. So remember, if you followed me back in September, we were sitting at like 124, 127 houses were going pending per week. And that was when, interest rates were at 7, above it. As interest rates went down in 6s, I instantly saw more buyers coming back. So we saw weeks, and I'll kind of give you some of the weeks too. The end of September was 137, beginning of October, 144, then the following week, 147, 153. How, with interest rates going up, of course, we're going to lose more pending listings, right? We had 153 houses go pending last week. And I do pending listings from Tuesday to Monday. So I'm going to not give you what went pending today. I'm going to give you from yesterday and prior. Of course, we should go down, right? Interest rates went up? No. This was a shocker and surprise to me. Now, we had 163 homes go pending over this past week. So 10 more than last week. Now, granted, it's not huge. We're talking about like 7.5% more houses, but that's still a good jump. Can it be attributed to people probably locking in the rates and using it? Yes. Can it also be attributed to we don't have ACL, F1, we don't have any of these big events going on, and so people are actually out shopping? That's probably part of it. Is that we're seeing kind of that residual happening. The question will be is now we are over 7%. What happens this next week? Well, it's also the election week. So in this election, I say election weeks, we're getting really close to that final day, and that might, I say, change. Now, historically, interest rates have gone down after presidential election, except for back in that 2008 timeframe. But we'll see what happens. So with that being said, let's look at the active under contract numbers. So under contract, this past week, we have, or what our current number is, we're at 836 homes that are under contract. If we compare that to last week, that is a 24. We are under contract increased by 24. So by the time all those people back out of the contracts or those houses sold, we still are over 20. We went up 24, which is phenomenal. So we were at 836 this week. And if we look back into September's, we were in like the mid 700s. So with that being said, we're going to have a very slow October. When we see numbers, I'm giving you this now. If you're in Austin, we are going to see slow numbers for October sales data. I think we're going to see a difference in November. All of a sudden, we're going to see a pop up. And that's just because those low interest rates, those spurs that people went out and bought. So for our for our under contract houses, what is our median and what is our average price? Well, our average price, remember our listings, our average is 1.163 million. Our average that are under contract is 797,000. So if we compare that to last week, that's actually just a slight increase of 8 going up. So kind of interesting that way. As far as our median is 610,000. So that's a 10,000 increase from last week's median for what is currently sitting under. So we have seen some buyers. We've seen some more buyers coming back, a little bit more higher price points have gone under. Nothing dramatic, nothing skewing the data. With our days on market, it stayed the same. So our average was 73, no change there. Our days on market for our median was 48. So our days on market is less than what our active days, to be expected. Those good houses are still going to go rather quickly. So if there's a house that you like, what I'm telling a lot of my buyers now is, if we've looked at all your houses and there's nothing out there that you like and a new house comes on the market, there is probably another new buyer just like yourself that is waiting for a house. So if the house comes on the market and you've been looking for a while, just because this market is slow, new listings, you have to kind of treat them separate. So the brand new listings that come to the market, they're not really a seller's market yet until they've kind of stagnated a little bit. When they first come on, it's open fair game to all the other buyers. So make sure to act if you're looking at a house. Don't wait. If a new one comes on, go see it. Don't let this market fool you, because those good houses will still go under contract. With that being said, let's talk a little bit about the closed listings here in Austin, Texas. If you're just joining me, I do this weekly. Try to do it on Tuesday. So go ahead, give me a follow, save this. It helps people see it. And if you comment, it just helps show up back in your feed again. With that being said, we are going to look at our closed data. So our closed data for the past 30 days, we're at 537 homes have closed. Now, that's down. And remember, this is a rolling 30 days. So every week it's going to be looking at a different 30-day time frame. We're 20 less than last week. But once again, it also rolls into, does a weekend land when I'm reporting? What's happening? Is it end of month? Different things like that go on. So we're down 20 from last week's numbers. Keep in mind, our pending is up 24. So we'll see a little bump. My guess is we're going to see that bump in November. With that being said, our close price. So our close price is actually higher than our median, than our average under contract. Our average under contract is 797. Our close price average is 846,000. So a little bit higher there, 846. There are still some houses that go for over asking. Once again, back to, if it's a good house and you've been waiting and you're not seeing anything and it comes on the market, it can potentially go for over asking. It just depends on how they list it. With our close price, it's kind of interesting. It's from last week, our close price, we went up 28,000. So that's also where it goes back to Austin. We've got multi-million-dollar homes. You have a really high home. It kind of pushes the average up. How does that affect our median? Well, our median actually went down 15,000. So our median went from a 625 close last week to 610,000 was our median close sales price this past week. So kind of one up for the average, which makes sense. Multi-million-dollar houses, our median kind of goes down. More affordability. As well as that also goes back to, what is our close price to list price? So we look at two things. We're going to look at close price to list price. That's the current list price. And we're going to look at close price to original list price. So before any price cuts, anything, any of that get factored in, how does it compare? So first, looking at close price to list price. This is very important. If you are buying a home, these are one of the stats that I use when I help my buyers. You want to be very specific about looking in that area. So don't use this as a general thing across Austin. you're writing an offer, have your agent pull up the closed price to list price for plus or minus 20% of the square footage around you within a mile radius, just depending on the house. You really want to compare apples to apples because you want to see what are houses going for kind of in that area. Because you have some neighborhoods, they pop off. You have other neighborhoods, they're going to be slow. So close price to list price. So our average is at 96.51%. We're down about 0.22, down a little less than 1/4% for our average. Now our median went down a full percent from last week. Our median was at 98% of list price last week. This week, for all those houses closing out, we're at 97%. So once again, you're going for about 3% under list price. I'd say between around 3 to 4% under list price is kind of what you would expect on the norm. Now, there are houses that are going for 10, 20% under list price. It just depends on where you are. You need to know your market. You need to know how saturated you are. If you're looking at renovated houses, or you compare to apples. So the month of inventory might be 6 months in that area. But when it comes to houses that are not finished and they need renovation, you look at those, you might end up having like 12 months of supplies. It just depends. We got to look at the specific area. So these are general numbers. You need to really drill in when you're buying your specific house, as well as when you're selling. You want to set yourself up for success. You've got to look to see, what do those numbers look like for you? So with that being said, we talked about close price to list price. We're about 3 to 4% under. If we look at the average and the median of closed price to original list price, our average is at 91.44%. So you're looking at 8.5% under, and our median is 97. So about 7% under. So you're seeing a pretty, I'd say, 4 or 5% more points that you're seeing against the original list price. So that kind of gives you an idea when you're writing an offer. I look at it both ways. I look at it when we're writing the offer compared to the original list price. I also look at the current list price. We're really going to analyze them both to figure out how to best set you up for success. Now, with that being said, if you follow One Rental at a Time, Mike Zuber, one of the things we talk about is disrespectful offers while being respectful. With that being said, you can take a look and see how far down someone's gone, how much some of the sellers accepted it. If we're getting into the winter months, there might be a reason the seller is selling. There might be a need for it. So we're really going to take that into consideration when you're writing your offer. With that being said, let's look at October's numbers. Now, we only have 2 days left in October. Even though we'll get to the October on the 31st, we probably won't get our true data until about a week and a half, 2 weeks in is when I really hammer out what was October's numbers. So if we look at October's numbers today, where we closed out. So to date, we've closed 481 homes in all of Austin, single family homes. Guys, girls too. Let's look at the average. So if we did from 05 to 2023, and we want to say, well, how many houses did we normally sell in October? So we normally sold in October on average 867 homes. Last year was even a slow year. So last year we only sold 601. So if we even took out last year, it would probably be even higher than that. But 867 from 05, so a 19-year average, we're at 481, which is 55% of what our average is. Now, there's no way we're getting significantly higher. I said last week, if you're watching, I said we'll probably be in the mid fives, and hopefully we'll beat our lowest number of houses that we ever sold in Austin in October was in 2010, and that was 537. I'm going to say I bet we beat that. We've got 3 days left, but when it always comes to end of year or end of month, we always seem to have a big push from builders, especially that they'll have houses that sell and they close out that final day of the month. It always happens. So with that being said, we're at 481 homes sold currently in the month of October. In the month of October, our average this year is 847,000. Now, if we look at our average compared to last year, our average was 808. So our year over year, we're actually up. Year over year, we're up for our average, as well as our month over month, we are up. When we look at our median this year, we're at 615,000. Last year, we were 609. Now, if we look at our 30-day, we're at 610. So it'll be very interesting. I think we're going to end up very close to 23's average for our 23's median. I think our average price is going to be higher. Our median price is going to stay the same. And I think the other part that we're thinking about is we don't have as many renovated homes coming. And that's also just because a lot of renovated and new construction builds, it slowed down rapidly last year. Part of it because new construction wasn't selling, or builders weren't getting the funding to build. based on interest rates, as well as for flippers. It didn't make sense. The market wasn't going up. We were kind of stagnant. They weren't necessarily coming in unless they got a screaming deal. So our number of renovated homes are not necessarily out there. So what we are seeing is people buying houses that maybe aren't fully renovated or fully updated, one, because of price point, two, because of what is out there for the inventory. So with that being said, for days on market so far here in October, for the houses that have closed in October, we're looking at 70. So right in line, of course, with our 30-day. For last year, it was at 59. So about 11 days longer than last year. When it comes to what is our close price to list price, how does that compare? Well, this year we're at like 96.38%. Last year was at 96.95%. Our median close price to list price, very similar. Close price to list price median. This year we're at 97. Last year we were at 98%. So a little bit higher there. Same thing with close price to original list price. This year, our median is at 93. Last year was at 94. So it's a tick less that we're seeing as far as what our close price to list price is. We're seeing it a little bit under. Same thing all across the board. We talked about our historical averages for October. We're talking at 867, our highest we ever sold. Of course, this was back during COVID when every single person wanted a house during those lockdowns. We're at 1,194. So put in perspective, our highest in this past 19 years, 20 years, 1,194, and we're at 481. So big change in the difference between the number of houses that we are selling currently in November or in October compared to historically what we've seen. The lowest we saw was in 2010 at 537. So lots of data out there. If you're just joining, to kind of summarize everything, that if you're just joining, feel free to go back and watch this. This will be posted. You can check it out. But what we're going to see is we are still seeing an increase in week over week, the number of houses that are going pending and what is going pending, which is a good thing. We're seeing an increase every week. We are seeing a decrease in listings that are on the market. So number one, we're seeing fewer houses being listed, as well as we're seeing houses that are being withdrawn and put on hold, which is expected. So a lot of times people will take their house, they'll withdraw it. They'll put their listing on hold and they wait until after the new year. So we typically see some of them come back starting in January and February. And that's when after we start seeing buyers come back to the market. So with that, I know that was a lot of data, a lot of information. If you are watching this, I truly, truly appreciate it. Feel free, give me a follow if you don't know me. If you're on watching this on YouTube, I am at _1_realty on X. I post a lot about datas and facts. We take the One Realty, we take a data-driven all-in-one approach to real estate. If you want to know about the all-in-one, it's everything we do because we are not real estate agents in the sense in that open the door. I consider ourselves program managers. So we're program managers for the entire thing, as well as providing you the analytical data you need to make educated decisions here in the Austin real estate market. So with that, if you are following along, feel free, you can leave a comment. I'll be able to see it. If you want specific information about different areas, I have people all the time reach out in DMs and we talk about it. We talk about, hey, what is setting you up for success, as well as some people, they hop on and they say, I'm not selling for a year. I'm not selling for 2 years. Honestly, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And the reason I say that is don't wait until it's time to get your house listed. Let's start looking months in advance, because then that's when we can start tracking trends and we can kind of see, okay, what is the perfect time for you and for your house to be listed? Is it a seasonality thing depending on where you're listed? What is kind of going on? And let's manage your expectations immediately. Let's find out what your prices is now so that we can kind of see, hey, is it going up? Is it going down? Let's track the market. We did that last year for some of my clients, and some of my clients were going to wait until listing until like April, May, but I was tracking it, and all of a sudden I started saying things moving earlier. We started seeing movement really end of January, February last year, and we decided to put their house on the market in March, and thank goodness we did, because interest rates shot up in the middle of March, if you remember that. So we were below 6, and then we went above 7 in March of last year. And thank goodness we got them listed early, because they went under contract. The other houses in the neighborhood that came out took forever to sell. So with that, I am Danielle Marie from the One Realty. I am here in Austin, Texas. Feel free to reach out. Would love to hear from you, hear what's going on in your life. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. So with that, have a good one.